Hello, welcome to the reading of a Minecraft story. Welcome to the reading of a Minecraft story. Chapter 1. Game Start. Player 1 opened his eyes. To the left, there was a forest. And to the right, front, and back, there was a field. Where am I? Player 1 asked. I should grab some sticks, rocks, and vines to make some tools, which means I should go into the forest. 10 minutes later, Player 1 still couldn't find anything. "Ah, this is so hard!" he shouted, and in his frustration, he started punching a tree. Bam, 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 bam. Player 1 looked at the tree in surprise. Right where he had been punching it, there was a cube-shaped hole in the tree, and there, in the hole, was a floating block. All of a sudden, he heard a deep, loud voice. "Now press X to open the crafting interface." "Who are you?" Player 1 said. "I am Tips," it responded. "How do I press X?" Player 1 said. No answer. Player 1 tried again. I said, "How do I press X?" Still no answer. "I have an idea," Player 1's brain said. "Quiet, brain," Player 1 said. "X," Player 1 and Player 1's brain said. All of a sudden, a 2x2 crafting area appeared. "Now put in oak wood to make oak planks," said Tips. "Easy," Player 1 said. "Now make a crafting table." "Done," Player 1 said. "Congratulations. You have completed the tutorial," said Tips. "Yay," said Player 1's brain. "Quiet, brain," Player 1 exclaimed. 10 minutes later, Player 1 had made a full set of wooden tools, when all of a sudden, the bushes rustled. Player 1 grabbed his sword, ready for a fight. "Bah," a sheep said. Player 1 started advancing towards the nearest sheep. Then, he struck. After Player 1 had killed all the sheep, he went to his crafting table to see what he could make. I think I'll make a bed. So Player 1 placed it on the ground and went to sleep. Chapter 2. But wait, there's no sad grass. Player 1 woke at dawn. I should probably start work on my house today, Player 1 thought. So then he went into the forest. 10 hours later, Player 1 came out of the forest carrying 3 stacks of wood. "It's getting dark," he said. "I should hurry." But then, the grass started rustling. Player 1 looked, but saw nothing. "It's just the wind," he said. "No!" he screamed. "Don't do it, Steve! There was no wind in Minecraft, Steve!" But, like in most stories, Player 1 couldn't hear you. "And who's this Steve guy you were blabbering about?" The grass rustled again. "Ah, it's just the wind blowing the sad grass." "Wait, sad grass? Wind? There is no sad grass or wind!" Player 1 started running. Fast. Then all of a sudden he heard a noise like a snake. Sssss. Player 1 started running faster. Sssss. Player 1 got very scared. Boom! Player 1 rushed into his house and went to bed. "I'll name that monster Sad Bomb Grass," he thought as he drifted off into sleep. Chapter 3. The Dungeon. After he woke up, Player 1 decided he should start work on his mine. So he got his pickaxe and started mining down. Diagonally, of course. 25 minutes later, Player 1 hadn't found any ore. when bam, he broke into a cave. Player 1 decided to go into the cave to look for ore. 2 hours later, Player 1 had found 30 coal ore, 15 iron ore, and 8 redstone ore. But then, he heard a noise. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. What is that noise? Player 1 wondered. Swoosh! Player 1 looked at the wall. Right where he had been standing just a second ago, there was an arrow in the wall. Then, a skeleton appeared from the inky dark blackness. Ah! Player 1 screamed in terror. Swoosh! Thunk. Ow! Player 1 had been shot. Player 1 growled. Come get me, you discount museum existed as it... Sorry. Exhibit, he shouted. Shing! Player 1 had stabbed the skeleton with his stone sword. The skeleton died. Player 1 had noticed something strange. Is that cobblestone? Player 1 inquisited. It is, Player 1 said upon further examination. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Player 1 looked in the structure. There was about 7 to 10 skeletons in there. Oh no, Player 1 said. Then he started running away very fast. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Player 1 looked behind him and saw the skeletons coming after him. Player 1 started running faster, jumping over lava and holes, ducking under arches and ledges. Sss. Oh no, the sad bomb grass, Player 1 thought. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Sss. Where the sad bomb grass had been, there was now a music disc. Player 1 grabbed it. Swoosh, swoosh. The skeletons were here. The tunnel up, yes, thought Player 1. So he ran up the tunnel and burst into the sunlight. Free at last, he exclaimed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh went the skeletons. Oh no, Player 1 shouted. Whoosh, crackle, pop. With a poof of smoke, the skeletons caught on fire and burned to death. Oh, a skeleton dropped a book, Player 1 stated. Mob Encyclopedia, the cover read. Player 1 flipped to a random page. Creepers, a grass-type mob. Creepers attack by sneaking up on you, then exploding. So sad bomb grasses are actually creepers, Player 1 said to himself. He flipped to another page, when all of a sudden he heard a familiar voice. Did you know? Mobs such as zombies, skeletons, creepers, spiders, and endermen spawn in dark areas like caves or at night, said Tips. It's getting pretty dark out, stated Player 1. Said a zombie. Shing, swoosh, went Player 1's sword. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Went some arrows. Player 1 looked for skeletons. There weren't any. Ha! He heard. He looked behind and came face to face with a pillager patrol. Chapter 4: The Pillager Outpost. Player 1 ran inside his house. What do I do? What do I do? He said frantically. He went to the crafting table and made an iron sword, iron chestplate, iron boots, and a shield. You want me to open up? Oh, I'll open up, all right, Player 1 said furiously. He opened the door and started swinging wildly, killing 3 pillagers with one blow. Swoosh, swoosh, Player 1 blocked with his shield. Swoosh, swoosh. Player 1 had been hit by a skeleton. A pillager had been hit by a skeleton. 20 minutes later, all of the pillagers had been beaten. Player 1 saw a tower in the distance. That must be the source of them, he thought. He went closer and saw some bullying a thing they had in a cage. Upon closer inspection, he saw it was a huge, hulking metal colossus called an iron golem. Player 1 snuck up behind the cage and started breaking it to bits. When he was finally done, the iron golem rushed out like a berserker, its arms swinging wildly. Player 1 rushed up to the top while the pillagers were distracted. A chest, he thought. There was some dark oak wood, a crossbow, and 2 stacks of TNT in it. I know what to do, he thought. 10 minutes later, he and the Iron Golem watched as the place was blown sky high. Then they went to Player One's house and went to sleep. But little did they know, someone was watching them. Someone with an extremely big nose. Chapter 5. The Village. Player 1 woke up at mid-noon. There was no sign of the Iron Golem, or, as Player 1 had named it, Iron Colossus. Player 1 looked around and saw some big, heavy tracks in the ground. These must be Iron Colossus's tracks, he thought, so he decided to follow them to see where they go. 10 minutes later, he arrived in the plains biome. It's very fast, he said. Wait, what's that? He thought. Off in the distance, he saw a structure. He went closer and saw some more structures. This must be a village, he decided. What was that? There was just something outside. He went closer and saw... Oh, wait. He decided. Greetings, traveler. Player 1 jumped, startled. Behind him was a villager. My name is Xander. What is yours? Xander asked. I'm Player 1. But how can I understand you? Player 1 responded. Oh, I gave you a translator device. Ah, okay. Hey, I'm Bobbert, another villager that had approached said. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention, I'm the leader of this village, said Xander. I see, Player 1 said. A creeper approached. Stand back, everyone. I've got this, he said. Relax, Player 1. The creeper means us no harm, Xander said. Xander, where did this human come from? The creeper asked. Wait, did you say human? As in from the prophecy? Xander questioned. Yes, Stealthful replied. This must be Steve. How do you know it isn't Alex? Because... I just know. So you might say my name is Steve, right? Yes. Yes. At that moment, an Enderman appeared. Ah, Eldritch, you scared gunpowder out of me, said Stealthful. Sorry, Eldritch apologized. Oh no, it's the Golem, Stealthful said. Iron Golem, it's you, Steve said. Don't hurt these guys, they're my friends. So what's the prophecy? I'll tell you later. Where'd you find this, Steve? I rescued him from pillagers. Why? Pillagers? Pillagers? Eldritch and Stealthful turned to each other with worried looks on their face. Ding, 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 ding. That's the alarm, Xander shouted. Swoosh. Steve looked to the east. There was a lot of pillagers and even some vindicators, witches, evokers, and ravagers. A raid was starting. Chapter 6. The Raid. Die, villager scum, a vindicator said with disgust. A villager exclaimed in terror. Swoosh went an arrow, swish went an axe, roar went a ravager, wham, wham, wham went an iron golem. You're using went too much, went the reader. Quiet, reader, went Steve. Swish. The reader swung his/her/their murder weapon. Ah! The author shouted in pain. The end. It's not the end. Did it trick you? I did? Good. But now back to the story. Yeah, Steve shouted. 2 vindicators died, but it wasn't enough. There were still hundreds of them. Steve noticed something odd. All of the mobs had no pupils. This is an attack from Herobrine, Xander exclaimed in rage. I've got this, Eldritch shouted. Chaos incarnate. All of a sudden, the evoker's vexes turned into emeralds, as did about 50 mobs. Then, flaming arrows fell from the sky. Guys, That wasn't me, Eldridge said. Steve looked up. There, in the air, was someone with a full set of enchanted diamond armor and an enchanted bow. Catch, they said to Steve as they threw him some diamond armor and a sword. I'm Trevor7841. I'm Steve. Cool, Trevor7841 said. Die, an evoker shouted. Who knows how to make Who knows how to make a portal? Xander asked. Eldridge raised his hand, as did all of the evokers. Guys, I made a portal, Eldridge said. Sorry. Steve looked up, and there, in the air, was a hole in the sky. And then, a short figure fell out of it onto the ground. Ow, they said, with a voice that could move mountains. All the Illagers fled. Where am I? The mysterious figure asked. All the Illagers turned into puffs of smoke. Then he saw Steve and the others. Beware me, villagers and mobs, for I am the Arch-Illager, ruler of the dungeons, king of Minecraftia, and most importantly, your doom, he shouted, with the most high-pitched and annoying voice in the overworld. Steve threw him back through the portal and Eldridge closed it. Finally, a mountain said, that guy is so annoying. I thought he would never leave. I was about to relocate myself. Yeah, bro, I totally agree, another mountain agreed. Good job, guys, Sanders said. Steve looked for Trevor7841, but he wasn't there. Steve saw a village house door open, and Stealthful came out. So, Steve, are you ready to hear the prophecy? Stealthful asked. What were you doing in that house? Steve inquired. It's complicated, Stealthful said. It's not. Stealthful was just hiding, Eldridge said. They do that often, since they get scared often. Can we just get on already? Steve complained. Chapter 7. The Prophecy. So, you already know the tale of the two brothers, right? Stealthful asked. No, Steve answered. I cannot tell him it. I have it memorized, Eldridge said. Of course you do, Steve said sarcastically. Chapter 7. The Tale of the Two Brothers. Once, there was nothing. Then, there were two brothers, one called Notch, the other called Herobrine. These are the creators of Minecraftia. Notch decided he wanted some light, so he made the sun. Herobrine wanted a nightlight for his bedtime, so he made the moon and the stars, and they saw it was good. The next day, Notch decided to take a nap, but there wasn't any land, so Notch made some land and took a nap. Herobrine wanted to go swimming, so he said, Pool, appear before me. And thus the seas and oceans were made. The next day, Herobrine woke up and wanted to go on vacation, so he made the Nether, and, after a very helpful comment from Notch, the end. Then he partied so hard, like literally the hardest you can, that hard. But Notch wanted a pool party, so he made 3 lesser beasts to rule over the end, Nether, and ocean. These 3 were called the Ender Dragon, the Wither, and the Elder Guardian. The Ender Dragon ruled over the end and made 2 types of citizens for the end. The tall Endermen with their unnerving stares, and the Shulkers with their levitation magic in their shells, tough as bedrock. Then there were Endermites, the soul of the Enderman, which greatly angers the Endermen, as Endermite reflect the Endermen's own souls. The Wither ruled over the Nether, with its fiery seas and alanic forest, its bastions and fortresses, and all its citizens, from the blazes to the Wither skeletons. The Elder Guardian ruled the ocean with all the mini-mobs. Now the Elder Guardian, like the Ender Dragon, was concerned with his safety. So he made 2 clones of himself, a huge fortress where he could live and store his valuables, and he made the Guardians and the Drowns to guard these monuments to his power. The Guardians hated villagers and attacked them whenever they could, which is why you see sunken ships in underwater cities. He also made some unimportant stuff, such as plants and fish. Then they had a pool party and partied so hard, the hardest you can. Yes, that hard. Then Herobrine tried to make a pig. 679 fails and 1 success. Most of the failed tries Herobrine discarded, though he kept some of them, such as villagers, cave spiders, bats, phantoms, and a fearsome monster that lurked in the void. Oh, Notch and Herobrine were brothers? Why did I include that? Anyways, one day Herobrine went over to Notch's house and was acting suspicious. Eventually, a bunch of monsters, or mobs, showed up and started attacking, ultimately destroying Notch's house in the process. Luckily, Notch was in his lab in the end, experimenting on pumpkins. Eventually, they started a war. Notch and Herobrine, that is, not the pumpkins. That would be silly. The end, said Eldritch. That's it, said Steve. Were you expecting more? Well, I guess not. But I'm as strong as them, said Steve. The day you're as strong as them is the day someone counts all the numbers of pi. Okay, I'll start now. 3.14. 5 trillion years later. 7, 4, 3, 9, 1, 5, 8, 1, 5, 7, 8, 9, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 6, 0. But then, Steve stopped counting. Can I hear this prophecy now? Steve said. Sure, said Stealthful. Okay, replied Steve. Then, all three of them heard a loud noise. Man, those illagers really need to fix their horns, Steve said. Chapter 8, Wave 2. Eldritch, open a portal to call for backup, Stealthful commanded. Eldritch opened a portal, and some lava flowed through, killing some pillagers. Idiots! Our great master Herobrine will destroy you, a Vindicator said to the villagers. All who side with the evil Notch shall die. Steve ran and killed it with his sword, then sliced another in half before cutting down an evoker. The evil Notch? If anything, Herobrine's the evil one, Steve yelled out. A Ravager charged at Steve, but he quickly jumped out of the way. Brrr, the Ravager roared. Steve ran and jumped onto its back, then stabbed it in its neck. The Ravager then threw Steve off its back and charged at him, this time hitting the target. Steve lay there, stunned, as the Ravager charged again, but Eldritch blasted it with a fireball, killing it. Thanks, Steve said to Eldritch as he deflected a Vindicator's axe, then punched it in the face. I guess that's all. That's all of the story. This is the cover of the story. Thanks for watching, I guess. Bye.